going to be making a rocket and we're gonna launch it.
All right, so we are gonna make bottle rockets today. This is a project that you do have to kind of get prepared for. So it's kind of a long list of things that you need. And we'll start by just talking about some of those things. You need a 2-liter bottle. This is the most important thing. And it needs to be clear. And the reason why it needs to be clear is because clear bottles are stronger. There's gonna be pressurized air in this bottle, so you need a strong bottle. So clear bottle. It can be either style. This is like Pepsi products and this is like Coke products, but it can be any style. And you're going to also need some tape. So we've got several different types of tape. We've got masking tape, which works okay, but the best kind of tape is duct tape.
Yep.
So if you have,
that's duct tape?
if you don't happen to have duct tape around, any of these other tapes will do. You're fine. You should not have to go buy anything. That's the cool part about this project. You can look in your recycle bin, find some of the things you need. Look in your drawers. You might find some duct tape. Okay, some other stuff that we need today is going to be a cardboard box. This is for making the fins that will go onto our rocket. Talk more detail about those later. You will need, we've collected a bucket of, a little jar here of Pebbles. You can use anything. You can use sand. I wouldn't recommend dirt, but you can use sand or little pebbles. Those work perfectly fine. We've also got some spray paint here. So we're probably gonna, after we build our rocket, we're probably gonna spray paint it with these colors. You could use just some regular acrylic paints. If you have some of those lying around, you could use those to paint your rocket. You will also need some string, or in this case we have some thin rope that we're going to use. I'll explain all of these things later and how they're used. We also have some Sharpies here in case we want to write on our rocket when we're done. We'll give it a name. Every rocket needs a name, right?
Yeah.
We also have this scale. If you don't have a scale, it's not really a big deal. The reason why with this scale is you're going to need around 300 grams of weight to put in the tip of your rocket. You guys know why you need weight in your rocket?
Yep.
You do?
No.
You do?
Yes, no. Yes, no, yes, no.
So, have you guys ever thrown like one of those Nerf darts before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
So, well, I'm talking about the Nerf, not the ones that go in your gun, but like a Nerf dart, like it's got like a suction cup on it, or maybe even a Nerf, maybe even a Nerf football with like a dart-looking thing hanging off the back of it. Those things are called fins that it has on it, and so the fins help it fly straight and not wobble, and that's the same thing that the weight does in the tip of your rocket. We'll talk about that all a little bit more later. Did I cover all the supplies, Maddie?
You need scissors.
Oh yeah, you're gonna need some scissors.
And a box cutter.
This isn't absolutely necessary. Just scissors will do.
Or a
box cutter can help.
Yeah.
Be a little easier, but
I
think that's it.
Can you use an X-Acto knife too?
Yeah, you could use an X-Acto knife, but truthfully, all you need is a pair of scissors. Okay,
Yeah,
so you guys,
a box cutter.
you guys want to get underway?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, did you explain the paint? Oh.
I did. Yeah, we talked about paint.
No, I mean paintbrushes.
Oh, if you're using acrylic paint, of course you need some paintbrushes. All right.
You do.
You guys ready to get started?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the very first step is to take the bottle that's going to be the main compartment of your rocket. We call it the fuselage or just the main body. And what we do is this is going to load onto the launcher, and this is where all the pressurized air and water is going to be. So it has to be really strong. So we're going to put a strip of duct tape all the way around the bottle to help reinforce it. Okay? You guys ready to do that?
Can we do every color?
Well, we could cut it, or the cool part about duct tape is it rips really easily.
It's so
usually rips really easily. Okay,
like
so
the times that I rip duct tape, it doesn't work out great for me.
So that was step number 1. So now we have a reinforced body chamber. Now, step number 2 is to figure out what kind of a rocket we want to make, okay? So if this is the main part of our rocket, we could use a soda bottle and put that soda bottle right on top. It's kind of neat because they kind of link together with their little things at the bottom. So we could tape that on, and this could be our rocket. We could use something smaller, like a little water bottle. We could tape that on, and that could be our rocket. Or one of my favorites is to use another 2-liter bottle. Okay, now we have a choice for how big or how much of this 2-liter bottle we want to use. We could be kind of ridiculous and make a super long rocket, but that would be kind of silly, and I don't think it would fly particularly well. So what we do is we're gonna cut the top of this bottle off, and that's gonna be the tip of our rocket. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to be very, very careful when you do this. Make sure, I could use a box cutter, but I think most people are just gonna be using scissors. So I'm gonna show you how to do it with scissors today.
Yeah.
Okay? So you wanna make sure that this cap is on. If it's not on, it's gonna be almost impossible to puncture the bottle, right? Because you need that air to be trapped inside of it. So you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do is you come onto the bottle, somewhere in here. You know what, have an adult do this part. This part can get a little bit dangerous. So just twist the scissors until it punctures the bottle. And then you wanna just make sure that you find how tall you want your tip to be and do your best to go straight around the bottle. Okay. And I forgot to mention earlier that when you get your bottles and you prepare them, you want to take the label off and you want to just rinse it out, obviously, so it's not all sticky inside. And then you also want to make sure that you're not using any type of scrubber on here that could scratch the bottle or make a hole in the bottle, because if you weaken the bottle, it will not perform the right way, and it could be dangerous because all that pressure inside. Okay, so here we go. We have our tip. We're going to tape this on, but we're gonna have to be very careful. We make sure that it's not tilted to the side, because that would make for a pretty funny looking rocket, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it also might not fly right.
Probably wouldn't fly that great. So we're gonna put this on very carefully. Landon, you want to inspect that? Does that look straight to you?
Landon, the inspector, straight.
But what we want to do is we want to look at whether or not this looks straight with the bottle. So I think that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Maddie, what do you think? Does it look pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get a strip of tape out. Hold on to that. Landon, I think that's a good long piece of tape. We will rip it. And then we're gonna kind of use the same sort of method we used before. One person's gonna hold the bottle. You wanna hold that bottle, Landon? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then Maddie and I will work it around here. When you're taping on curved surfaces, it's harder. It's harder to get it to look right. So I'm having a little bit of trouble here. And it's okay if your tape is not like perfectly straight, but you're gonna get these little folds. You can't do anything about that, and that's perfectly fine. It's all gonna look really good when we spray paint it. Okay? So far that's our rocket.
It looks pretty straight.
And this is gonna fly like this.
It's gonna fly sideways.
I think that looks,
and it will
really
crash
good.
into the moon.
Okay, the next step is to cut the fins. We're gonna use this cardboard box over here, and we're gonna cut out some fins.
So we just have a shoebox.
Yeah, we just had a shoebox lying around the house.
And it doesn't matter like what color it is?
You can use any type of box. This is a shoebox, but you could use literally a cereal box, any box that you might find in your recycling bin. You could use a big, thick corrugated cardboard box. This one happens to be corrugated, but it's the thin kind of corrugated. This is just an example. We wouldn't use this because this is for our paintbrushes, but this is a pressed cardboard, and this also works perfectly well. All right, so I'm just gonna cut the lid off this shoebox, and we're actually gonna use the tissue paper that's in it for something else. So that was one supply I didn't actually mention. It's tissue paper, toilet paper, wrapping paper, any kind of paper you can stuff will work.
Even wouldn't printer paper work as well?
Which kind of paper?
Printer?
It could, yeah, it could. It wouldn't be as ideal because you can't squeeze it up as tight as like tissue paper. All right, guys, so we're gonna make fins for this thing, and we can make our fins any shape that we want. So what are you guys thinking? Do you want to try drawing a fin?
Sure.
So you want to make sure, because our rocket's about this big, so you want to make sure your fin is at least that big. Okay.
Wow, that's a big
You can do a triangle, you can do a one that's curved and
Yeah.
comes back up. Let me give you a few examples. Let me give you a few
Like
examples.
curved ones.
So you could do a triangular one. It's like a right triangle, right?
I
You
kinda like
you
that.
could do one that looks like that.
I like that.
Um,
That's my favorite.
you could do one that's
Yeah, I'm gonna do that one.
you could do one that's not so far sticking out. It could just be like in a little bit more. Really, any way that you want to do it, and you can choose between 3 and 4 fins. I
Wait.
typically like to do 3, but if you
Yeah,
guys
I
want to do 4, we can do 4.
I'm gonna do 3.
Wait, so Maddie draw one, I draw one, and then
Well,
you draw one.
okay, so they have to all be exactly the same. So you're gonna do the second one, but we're gonna trace that one, okay?
Okay.
Oh, we wanna make sure you're working way over here so that you can be seen in the camera.
I want to see your example. Okay. So.
You wanna use these,
That.
yeah, use these 2 lines because it needs to at least be that big. Go straight to there. Yep, and then if you want it to be one of those ones that curves down, you just curve it to there and then curve it back up. Good, nice job, Maddie. Just curve it back up. That's a great fin. So I'm gonna cut this out and you're
like
gonna
it,
trace it, okay?
How do I?
I'll show you how to trace it.
So he's gonna cut it out, and then you can use it like a stencil.
Yeah, so once you decide on what kind of fins you want, it's important that you make them all the same size. So you're gonna want to trace them and literally make copies. So there's one beautiful fin.
And then you can use it like a stencil. You could
Yeah,
trace it.
that's exactly right. So Maddie's gonna continue cutting and I'm gonna continue explaining. So the fins, there's a nice little line on these bottles, right here. It's a really good guideline of where to put the fins. Like align the bottom of your fin up with the bottom of the bottle. Now you can play with it if you like it higher or lower. You know, certainly don't put it up here, but if you like to mess around with it a little bit, you can. There's one rule, just make sure it does not come down below where the bottle curves, okay? Oh, and there's a special way to measure these to make sure they're evenly spaced. We used 3 fins. You can use 4 if you want. I wouldn't recommend using any more than 4.
Yeah.
I've been doing this bottle rocket project for a long time at school and working with students building their own bottle rockets, and I can tell you from experience that any more than 4 does not really work out that well. So I would use either a strip of paper. You can use a strip of paper. You can just strip of yarn, a strip of rope like we have here. And what you want to do is you want to place it around your bottle, okay? And you want to put a mark right on the rope or the strip of paper or whatever you're using to indicate how far around it is around your bottle. So that's our distance around our bottle. Now if we're gonna put 3 fins on here, naturally we're gonna put one where the 2 ropes meet, but then we're gonna need 2 more. So we have to take this rope and fold it into thirds. If you have paper, it's even a little easier because you can fold it into thirds. Now this isn't super easy to do. You could also get a tape measure and measure it, but if you're into just kind of doing things on the fly like we are, you would just simply fold your rope until you have 3 even pieces. And that's more or less what we have here. I think it's a little off, so we'll adjust it. Okay, and there you go. We have 3 even pieces. So wherever that's folded, we need to mark it with our Sharpie. And then we'll fold it, not fold it, but we'll string it back out around the bottle, and where it meets, of course, right here is where we're gonna mark it. That's where one fin's gonna go, and then wherever these black dots are, that's where our other fins are gonna go, okay?
The breeze is picking up.
The breeze feels nice because it's really warm out today,
It is.
but also it keeps blowing our supplies over. Oh no!
We'll go get those.
All right. I'll continue. You guys grab that stuff that flew over, okay? All right. Good job.
That kind of thing.
Okay, so now that we've marked it out on the bottle, 1 fin, 2 fins, 3 fins. If you decide to do 4, use the same method, but instead of folding into thirds, fold it into fourths. That part would actually be a little easier, because they just go in half and then in half again. Thirds can be a little trickier. Okay, to fix these to the bottle rocket, we're going to put them on like that with duct tape. Duct tape is the best way to secure it. Do not, oh sorry, go ahead honey.
Especially if we want it to go up way high in the air, we don't want a fin or anything to fall off.
That's right. Do not use hot glue. I repeat, do not use hot glue. It will melt the bottle and put a hole in the bottle. You do not want that. That would be trouble. So we're gonna line our fin up right with the bottom of the bottle, and we're gonna make it straight on there. And this is gonna have a little optical illusion because I didn't put the tape exactly straight, but that's fine. You can see right there, it's straight up and down.
It's gonna move. We need to put more pieces of tape on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a piece on the other side.
So it doesn't move. Like
That's
floppy.
exactly right. So it won't be so floppy. So on this side, I'm gonna do another piece of tape. And like Landon said, this will help it not flop around. Okay?
They're like the best.
So there's 1 fin already fixed on. We'll just repeat the process for the next 2. There are all 3 fins, and this is gonna look so nice when we spray paint it.
It's gonna look so much better than this.
Well, it looks pretty cool anyways, doesn't it? And you can see it really coming together, right? Okay, so the next step is to put weight in the tip of the rocket. So this is gonna be pretty easy for us because we didn't leave a lot of room at the tip of our rocket, so it's gonna be mostly filled with pebbles up there. However, if we filled that whole entire thing with pebbles would be a little too heavy. So we're gonna stuff the tip here with some tissue paper, just so the pebbles won't fall down into these little cracks. And then we're gonna fill the tip up.
Okay, go.
You wanna use anywhere, but depending on how long your rocket is, the longer it is, the more weight you need. This is kind of a short variety of a rocket, so we won't need to go quite to 300 grams of weight, but a little less than that. And I will show you guys how to properly balance these rockets. So you'll know if you have the right amount of weight in there or not, okay?
Okay.
This can be challenging if you choose to use a big, a rocket with a lot of space at the tip, like a soda bottle rocket or something like that. You're gonna really need to stuff this paper. And it can get a little bit boring. 'Cause it's, after all, you're just stuffing paper.
I can help.
You wanna do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Maddie is going to stuff. The idea is to stuff the paper in so that it fills in these little gaps, so that when we put our pebbles in, the pebbles stay where we want them to and they don't fall all the way down into these little gaps. Does that make sense? Okay. So then you can use your scissors or a pencil or something like that just to get the paper really down where you want it to be. All right, so that is pretty good. We've got most of those gaps filled in, and so we're gonna start putting some of our pebbles in. And if you have a funnel, it works really well. If you don't, you kind of just have to go for it. But again, you can use sand or pebbles, doesn't really matter. Sand tends to find its way into those little cracks much easier than pebbles though. So that's why we're choosing pebbles today. You want to pack it in tight here. We weighed out approximately 270 grams of pebbles.
All of it, maybe?
I'm predicting we're gonna need right around 200, maybe 180 or so to make this right. But again, it's gonna depend on your rocket. It's not the same for every single rocket.
Can
I help Daddy?
You want to put one in?
Can we put this in the middle?
There you go. Good job. It's about as many as is gonna fit. Good job. So now the test to see if we did this right. Okay? If it's not heavy enough, we're gonna have to take out the pebbles and take out some of that paper, which is what we don't wanna have to do, okay? So what you wanna do is you wanna take a string or a piece of yarn, or in our case, a thin piece of rope, and you wanna tie it around the tip of your rocket. Now there is a scientific way to do this. It's supposed to be 2/3 of the way up your rocket. So what you really should be doing is measuring this. Measuring the rocket. You can just use any type of tape measure. You can use a ruler. We have a 15-inch rocket. So 2/3 of that should be just right around 10 inches. Okay. So when we measure 10 inches, we want to make sure, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be pretty close. Okay. You want to put your rope or your string around the 10-inch mark. For us, it would be 10-inch mark. So we're going 2/3 of the way up the rocket, which for us is 10 inches. And if you can get it to balance fairly straight, which ours is fairly straight, this is maybe a little tiny bit too heavy. We could take a few of those pebbles out, but that is actually a pretty good rocket. All right, guys, so you can see that once we measured it, tied that string around there, it's pretty close to being a level rocket. That is what you would call a balanced rocket. Okay, so it will fly through the air very well. Say cheese. Are you recording us?
That might be a bee.
You got us?
Yeah.
Make it blast off, Odin.
Up here.
Turn it around.
What?
Turn it around the other way and have it blast off. Yeah, like this. Let me show you. Let me show you. This. Blast. Show Mom. Blast it off. Blast it off. Look at the camera.
Now it's going downwards. It happened. Now it's landing. It landed.
Good job, man.
Here's Mom.
Yeah. So the next step is to take this rocket and give it some spray paint. You guys ready to spray paint it?
We could
Of course.
paint it.
What colors do you want? You want pink on there?
No. Blue. Gold?
I think we're gonna have trouble figuring out how to paint this rocket.
Ooh, we have
So
gold.
stay tuned, everybody. We'll get it figured out with all these different colors, and I'll be doing the spray painting. Make sure you have an adult do the spray painting as well. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. First, we paint the fins. Kids wanted a certain pattern. We're gonna go this color blue. It's gonna be a little drippy. Whoops. Okay, and then on the next fin, we're gonna do pink. That was more of a teal. This is like a light blue. All right, next is the body. So I have to be careful not to paint over the fins, which is what I just did. But we'll see. We'll see how I do. Oh boy. This paint right here is not covering well.
Doing your drip thing?
Mm-hmm. That looks cool.
Are you done, Dad? I want to launch you.
I think I'm pretty much done.
The paint's finally dry, and this is the name of our rocket. So the name of our rocket is MLO rocket, because it stands for Maddie, Landon, Odin.
Talk about the paint real quick.
So we used a pink paint for one of them. What do we call them?
Fins.
The fins. And one of them we used like a blue. And then this one we did like,
I don't know, it's a different shade of blue, but it came out, the paint job came out really cool. It's ended up, like the black kind of got on these other colors, but it just came out really cool. So that's that. So now it's time to launch this thing and see how it does. So that tomorrow, during launch day, when it stacks up against the kids in my class, we can see how it does, okay? In that video, we'll have our own special video. That'll be a second video called Launch Day. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Come on, we got a fire bin.
Okay, first step to launching this is to fill this bottle about halfway with water. So we're gonna go do that now. Here you go, guys. Got the hose out, and we're gonna carefully try to. Not bad, huh? It's gonna start to get heavy.
Wait, that's actually pretty warm. That's not the hose water I know. Whoa!
Oh! Sorry. First thing we do is we put the rocket onto the launcher,
It's okay if a little water comes out. So.
and then we put this block on that holds the launcher together, and I'll show you pictures of this launcher later. Okay, so what you're gonna see is this is going to fill with air. It's already springing a leak actually. This thing, something is wrong here. Something is wrong. So it may not launch. Help him pull this. 3, 2, 1. Let's do a quick measurement all the way back. We might have to tweak it and try to do better next time, but you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 1.
2, 3, 4.
Exactly 70. 70 meters, which is, well, it's approximately 220 feet, somewhere in that neighborhood. Great job, guys. So it went like 210,
Yeah.
220 feet. So we're gonna stack it up against the kids in my class and see how it goes. And if we'll see how we do, if we win or if we don't win. Okay?
Okay.
All right, cool. Bye.